I'm sure everyone has their story, but we've all run into, at one point or another, someone who worked on some iconic thing.
Oh, yeah.
That a lot of these guys are still working, you know, and they've been working since the 60s or the 70s, and they're still around. Like Ruku Browning still, you know, does stuff, and, you know, people like that. And I worked with a stunt guy who was a stunt man on Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, which, you know, I'm obviously a massive Planet of the Apes fan. So I was working on The Exorcist 3.
George C. Scott.
George C. Scott in it, and it was based on the book Legion by William Peter Blatty. And I always felt if they called the movie Legion, it would have been so much better. I think a lot of people didn't go to the theater because at the time...
But wasn't it Exorcist 3 Legion?
Yeah, but they should have just called it Legion. I think a lot of people were scared away with the 3 thing because at the time there was a glut of a lot of sequels.
That's a good movie,
But it's a fun movie, and I'm actually proud of working on it. It was done at Greg Canham's shop. And there was a stuntman on that who was doubling for George C. Scott. So I was talking to him, and he's like, you know, you probably worked on some other movies, you know, just chit-chatting in the makeup trailer and stuff. And he's like, yeah, I worked on Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. And I was like, what? You know, like, and I'm like, please tell me more, you know. So he brought in his book of all this stuff from shooting Conquest, of him in a gorilla makeup with the red jumpsuit, and he's like throwing a cop over his head. And to me, that's gold. You know what I mean? Like, it's moments like that it's just like makes working on movies so fun because we do work with a lot of people that have a lot of history.
Absolutely.
You know?
I did do, it's Kim Hunter, right?
Kim Hunter.
I did her makeup.
Oh, wow. Oh, for which movie was that?
For Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil.
Oh, okay. That's
and
awesome.
I knew from the beginning, of course, that she was zero.
Did you bring your zero down?
No, I didn't. I tried to like, and she was the most petite woman. She was the tiniest woman, and she was super, super cool. I didn't really know if she was like into talking about it or not, but I kind of like, was a big fan of, oh yeah, that was amazing. And she'd tell me some things and stuff, but I was just like blown away that she was still beautiful.
We got to work briefly, although I didn't talk to him, Roddy McDowell on Fright Night 2.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? I remember walking on set and seeing him there, and I was kind of like, that's Roddy McDowell.
The costume and stuff.
And I couldn't say anything to him because I was too starstruck, and we were in our early 20s at the time, you know.
Yeah, I don't think I should have, but I don't think I really.
No, I didn't say anything to him. The only guy who I actually said, screw it, I'm going to go up and I'm going to be super geek to, was on Gremlins 2. Christopher Lee.
Oh, yeah.
You bet.
Christopher Lee, God of Horror.
Yeah. The Dracula.
Bela Lugosi was great, but Christopher Lee, to me, when I was a kid, was Dracula. For sure. I mean, because I saw him on TV.
Yeah.
They ran those things nonstop on Saturday afternoon, creature features.
Yep.
You know, Christopher Lee was Dracula. I saw him. One of the first monster books I ever got as a kid
and so scary.
had a still of him as Dracula, Prince of Darkness. So I was just like, you know, Christopher Lee is working on Gremlins 2. I'm on Gremlins 2. I got to talk to him. I got to do whatever I can to get his autograph, take a picture with him, whatever. So luckily, Rick Baker, who's also a big monster movie fan, you know, I was like, Rick, we got to go and geek out to Christopher Lee, man. Come on, you know. So like, he's like, yeah, let's go. And so we talked to Chris, and he turned out he was the greatest guy. Told us all these stories from Hammer. Told us these stories of him and Peter Cushing doing Warner Brothers voices to each other and stuff. Cool. So I got my picture taken with Chris. I'm like, Mr. Lee, I have to take my photo. Is that okay? Sure, of course, my young man. Of course, of course. I brought 2 stills, and I brought a still which was like a generic headshot of him, you know, from something, and I brought a still of Dracula, and I'm like, I don't want to, you know, in case he's touchy about it, I don't want to offend him by handing him this Dracula, you know, thing, right? You know, he looks at both pictures. I'm like, you know, I'd like you to sign something for me, you know, and I'll let you choose which one. And he's like, which one would you like, sir? And I'm like,
they didn't do both?
You know, no, I mean, I was like,
I've only got enough strength in my arm for one signature.
I was like, I wasn't going to push it. Let's put it that way. This guy's my childhood hero, right? So I go, well, I wouldn't mind if you did the Dracula, you know, thing. And he's like, of course. You know, he goes, as you see here, the still has been flopped. I'm actually in the film. I'm pointing with my right hand, and the still I'm pointing with my left hand. You know, so and he was really a great guy.
Dude. I gotta go.
Can I have my pen back?
It's lunch.
Yeah, I know. But I was insanely starstruck, and certainly on the ratio of people I've worked with, there's bigger actors. But as far as iconic people, hands down, that guy was my number one.
Yeah.
But what about you guys? Like, what was the person that you geeked out on the most?
I geeked out on Tim Curry a little bit.
Tim Curry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I made him up for an episode of Monk. I had to put him in a fat makeup and this big fat suit, and he was the coolest guy.
That's awesome.
Hands down. And like I spent the whole day, I was basically his guy. You know, that was the only job I had that day was doing Tim's makeup. So I made him up and was his personal assistant all day. I was getting him cigarettes and food, and just
great.
anything he needed. And
He's fantastic as Darkness, man.
oh my God! And so finally, when I'm back in the trailer cleaning him up, I was starting to ask him more about, between Frankenfurter and Darkness, which ones do you have more fans from? Oh, it's two totally different groups, and he's like giving me this whole dissertation.
No, fuck off.
Yeah, right. But no, he went and he gave me some Rob Bottin stories. Probably not some good ones.
Yeah.
But he was super cool and answered all my Geek Boy questions because I was a huge, Rocky Horror fan too. So at the end of the day though, he was so super sweet. I was like the only actor I've really gone, Tim, can I take a picture with you?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. And he's like grabbing the AD to come over and shoot a picture of us. And he's like, look, if you ever need anything at all, you need a recommendation. And he's like, give me this.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like,
that is
thanks.
great.
It's
very
Did he
cool.
ever buy you a hot dog?
Oh, tell the hot dog story.
We're flying up to Vancouver for it, and I'd go up there like once a week, for a day or two to shoot. Then I have to fly back to LA to work, in the shop. But so Tim happens to be on the same flight that I'm on because I'm doing his Pennywise makeup, and so we're sitting there waiting for the flight, and he wants to get something to eat. So he's like, would you like a hot dog? And it was like the flimmiest hot dog I've ever heard, But it's like, it was also a very good hot dog. I took him up on it. That's not a euphemism. It was actually
Sure,
a hot dog.
Bart.
Yeah.
But
I get it.
Foot long.
foot long. That's right.
That's great.
But, I was going to say, I think the second movie I worked on was a Mark Shostrom thing called Raw Courage that we shot in
Ronnie
New
Cox?
Mexico, Ronnie Cox.
Yeah.
And we're just like going in the van one day, and I don't know if I recognized him or if I was just making small talk, but I was just like, oh, well, what else have you been in? He's like, I'll bring you a resume. And then he wouldn't say anything else. And then the next day we get on the van, and he's like, here's me. And he gave me his resume. So I'm like, oh, okay. Ooh, Midnight Cowboy. Okay.
After all, he's still kind of a journeyman, sort of actor, right? I mean,
Well, this was 1983, but just he literally did. He just not even.
Here's my resume.
Like, well, thank you.
No,
I wonder. I might still have that. I'll have to look through my files.
That's
when I get
funny.
it.
All right, I have to start winding this down. One thing I have to touch on is, and we have to ask, because again, another elephant in the room, you're up for an Academy Award right now.
Congratulations. Woo!
Thank you.
Very proud of you for Bad Grandpa.
Well deserved.
For Bad Grandpa, I mean, we've all been up for awards and various things, and some have won, some haven't. And
Have you ever been nominated for?
have you ever been nominated for an Emmy?
No.
I'm just kidding.
That's
Have you?
shocking, actually,
Have
to
you?
tell you the truth.
No, I
mean,
haven't.
Yeah, I'm a two-time loser.
Come on.
You're a
I have been a
two-time
lot.
loser?
Yeah, I'm a 19-time loser.
19 times?
19-time
That's
loser?
effing ridiculous.
Yes.
I still
all
can't
good.
believe it.
That's all good. Happy to
No.
keep being in
Working.
there. Happy
Yeah,
for
you're
people
in
who are
there.
like, yes,
Yeah.
we want
That's a
you.
good
It's
way
like,
of looking at it. That's why I love Aaron.
can't
Cooper.
believe
Yeah.
Okay,
my
so-
peers are still.
Let's,
I'm a
let's
one-time
hear it.
Emmy loser.
How's it feel?
Beauty and the Beast.
Cool.
Beauty and the Beast.
Is it cool?
Yeah, no, it's
That's all
great.
you got?
It's surreal. It's like there's all these events to go to and that. It's so out of what my normal day-to-day work usually is. I definitely feel out of place maybe, but it's exciting. It's cool.
Well, by the time this airs, you will either be a huge winner and you won't talk to any of us,
Right?
Yeah.
or you'll be a huge loser.
Right? And I'll just have that
And you
that
still
swag
won't talk
bag.
to any of us.
That's right.
And how cool is it that we're working here doing the show at Creature Features?
It's
This is
very
like one of the
cool.
In
coolest.
Burbank on Magnolia.
For those who don't know, Creature Features is the monster emporium.
It is really one of the coolest stores
Yeah.
in the world, and I could spend every penny I have in this store. Thanks to Taylor White for letting us shoot here.
Yay,
This place is like
Taylor,
the
thank you.
This place is like the ultimate geek bedroom, all in one place.
That's what my garage looks like.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks,
you
guys.
very much.
Thank
Chris.
you.
See you later.
Thank you.
Did you wash your hands?
No.
Did you wash your hands?
I did.
I'm going to now. Oh.
That's right. I'll have to after this. Mr. Cabrera.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Mr. Cabrera.
Handshakes all around.